Welcome. Now we are going to start the section 10.3 and refraction. This is another type of optical phenomena just like reflection. What we have understood reflection till now, at first we are going to see this. After that, what are the changes in case of refraction that we will see. In case of reflection, we have seen that it is an reflector. If a light ray strikes here, let us consider it is capital A and O is the point of incidence. It strikes here, then it is reflected. That we have observed or learned. We can take this reflected ray as OB. O is the point of incidence. So NO, N prime, we can take this thing as the normal at the point of incidence, and this one is the angle of incidence and this one is the angle of reflection. That we have understood till now. And in case of reflection we have considered only this bounce back. But what will happen if the light enters into this medium? If I say this is the medium 1 and this is the medium 2, obviously optical mediums, and if this medium 2 is an transparent or translucent medium, then there is a possibility, else obviously there should be some light ray will enters into the second medium or in medium 2. From here we can observe that the light ray will not follow the same path. Not here also, the light ray have not followed the same path. Here also light ray have not followed the same path. So it is deviated from the initial path of the ray and it makes an angle theta. So if a light ray strikes a surface, it can enters into the second medium, or in better ways I can declare the junction of the two medium as interface. That is this one, I can name it as XY. XY is the interface or the junction point of the medium 1 and medium 2. Or you can say from this line these two mediums are separated. We can say this thing. So the light ray follows this path. I can name it as OC. Okay. So AO light ray strikes the XY at the point 2, reflects along OB at an angle R, and now the light ray enters in the medium 2, and this thing is called the term refraction. Entering into the second medium is called the refraction. But we have seen that the light ray will not following the same path. The light ray changes its path. Okay, that is the one important characteristics. Just like similarly, the angle between the refracted ray and the normal at the point of incidence is called the angle of refraction. Just like in the reflection, here are also two laws, and that are called the laws of refraction. The first law of refraction is analogous to that of the law of reflection. In the first law of reflection, you have understood that, or you have read out that from the book, that the incident ray, reflected ray, normal at the point of incidence are in the same plane. That means here AO, OB and NO, N prime, the normal at the point of incidence are on the same plane. But here it is said that the first law of refraction said that the incident ray, refracted ray and the normal at the point of incidence are in the same plane. So here what is said, it is said that here AO, OC and the normal at the point of incidence means NO, N prime are in the same plane, and here AO, OC and NO, N prime are in the plane of the board. The second law of refraction, it says something else. You can see the first law of reflection and the first law of refraction. There the reflected word is replaced by the refracted word, since it is discussing the case of refraction. But just remind, what is the second law of reflection? That is the angle of incidence and the angle of reflection equal. That is I equal to R here. That is AON and NOB are equal. If the light ray strikes the interface at an angle 30 degree with the normal, then it will reflect it at an angle 30 degree. But this type of easy relationship is not followed in case of refraction, because now the light enters into the another medium. So this thing also should be considered. That's why the relation is something like that. This is the statement, this is the relation of the second law of refraction. So what is the statement? The statement is the sine of the angle of incidence and the sine of the angle of refraction. We have taken the ratio of these two, it is constant. Or in better ways, we can say that sine I is proportional to sine theta. Sine I is proportional to sine theta. So to neglect this constant or substitute this constant, write down it as an equation. What we have taken? A constant of proportionality. Okay. So we have seen that somehow these sine theta and sine I are related. The sine theta and sine I are related. And for a particular medium, this constant will not change. So this constant is just you can say the multiplication factor or the transversion factor. Okay, if it enters from the medium 1 to medium 2, what is the change there? But that is constant for a particular medium. This constant is named as refractive index. This refractive index is nothing but a number. Okay, it is nothing but a number. You can see sin I, sin theta, these are also numbers. Just like if I say sin 30 degree, what it is? It is a number. If I say sin 45 degree, it is a number. So sin I and sin theta, whatever be the angle, maybe it not be the standard angle, maybe it's sin 15 degree, maybe it's sin 75 degree, whatever be it, but they are numbers. So sin I is a number, sin theta is a number, so the ratio of these two numbers, sin I by sin theta, is also a number. So what this number actually plays the role in case of refraction, that I am going to see. The refractive index is a very important quantity. It is defined in a particular way that mu equal to C by V. This refractive index is denoted as mu, and this mu equal to C by V. We have obtained these things from the conception that somehow the angle of incidence and the angle of refraction are related. From there we get a constant. That constant, about that constant is stated in the second law of refraction. That constant is known as refractive index, but this refractive index is defined as mu equal to c by v. It is defined in something else. Just think of that. Cs is the speed of light in vacuum and v is the speed of light in a particular medium. So mu equal to c by v, what it gives us? It is a velocity, it is also a velocity. So velocity by velocity gives a number. Okay, so here also the same thing satisfied, the refractive index is a number. I want to tell you one thing, that the speed of light in vacuum or the speed of light in air, which is denoted by c, it is a constant. It will never change. Until now, the scientific discoveries, whatever be it, till now, the velocity of any particle can never be greater than c. Okay, it should be less than c. And what is the value of c? You know that 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, or 3 into 10 to the power 10 centimeter per second. So it is a ratio of c and v. So we can say c is not changing, so c is taken as absolute. So this type of refractive index is termed as absolute refractive index, because we have measured on the basis of an absolute value, that is the speed of light in vacuum. But all the time it is not possible. All the time we will not get the air-water interface. All the time we will not get the air-glass interface. All the time light is traveling through the air after entering into a glass. At that time this refractive index will be relevant. All the time it is not possible that the light is traveling through air and enters into water. At that time this refractive index will be relevant. If the light enters from the air to water, the refractive index at that time is called the refractive index of water, and that has a particular value. It will never change. Similarly, glass is of two types, but more or less for glass, the refractive index of glass have a particular value, the absolute refractive index. If the light enters from air to glass, if the light enters from air to glass, just like this, at that time the refractive index is the refractive index of the absolute refractive index of the glass. So what this refractive index actually tells us, just see. If the light enters into the glass, so it is better to write, I can write down it as mu g, the absolute refractive index of the glass, that is equal to c divided by v. So what is v? V is equal to c divided by mu g. Mu g, basically, typically its value is, for glass, its value is 1.5. Since mu g is 1.5 and c is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, since the value of mu g is greater than 1, so the small v obviously less than that of c, because by dividing c by mu g we get v. So v is less than that of c. This is the thing that we have to understood. If a light enters into any other medium, its speed thus decreases. If a light enters into any other medium, its speed decreases. So whatever I told, just try to note it down in your copy. And why it decreases? It shows this relation. If I take instead of glass, if I take it is an water, then V of water is equal to C divided by mu of water. Since the water's property will not change ever, so the mu of water we can take it as a constant, and that is 4 by 3, that is 1.33. Now 3 into 10 to the power 8 should be divided by 1.33. So the speed of light in water is less than that of the air. Okay, so whenever the light enters into a medium, then its speed decreases. And by how much amount it will decrease? That is obtained from the refractive index. And refractive index for a particular medium is constant. It will never change. So this is the thing of refraction. But not only there is only absolute refractive index that I have told you. Not only there is all the time the air and water interface is possible. Air glass interface is possible, that is the light is entering from the air to water, light is entering from air to glass. All the time it is not possible. Sometimes there may be a glass water interface, that is this medium is glass, this medium is water. Sometimes it may be a glass water interface. At that time we cannot define the absolute refractive index. At that time we have to delete something else. There should be a refractive index, but we have to delete something else. We will see it in the next lecture. Thank you all of you.